same logo that is in my title sequence, and I want to make a cake out of it. I had some extra ingredients for cake and a bunch of egg whites, so I made a lot of Italian meringue buttercream. I'm just trying to sketch out this cake as best as I can and do as much planning as possible. This is going to be a pretty complicated cake. It's going to require carving, which I don't have that much experience with. I wanted to do a mix of buttercream and fondant decorations. Well, I'm going to spend today doing more sketches and getting the colors, also figuring out like the structural integrity of the cake, although that's probably less important because it doesn't have to travel. This little smoke that's coming out of the chimney, I think it'll be really cool to make that like actual smoke from, or steam from dry ice. So I kind of need to figure out how to do that, like a channel in the middle of the cake and drop some dry ice in there. And I'm not planning to eat the cake. Maybe I'll eat a little bit of it, but I'm not planning to serve it to anyone, so that might make it easier. I did a little prep ahead of time. I had some egg whites that were kind of just sitting in my fridge and I didn't want them to go bad, so I turned them into Italian meringue buttercream. I have a feeling I'm gonna need more than this, but I'm gonna be baking as well, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up with some egg whites lying around. And this is the cake. I made a carving cake, an all butter carving cake, and I put some sprinkles in there to make a funfetti cake, because this cake is kind of a celebration of the Pastry Club reaching 1,000 followers on TikTok. So I wanted to make it celebratory, put some sprinkles in there. This is a sign I made for when I was selling at the farmer's market. This was a sign that we used for our booth, and I actually hand painted all of this, and I created a stencil and I cut it all out with an X-Acto knife, and then I painted all of this by hand, and it was a fun, crafty little project, and I'm really proud of how it came out. But yeah, this thing we're gonna turn into a cake. And I'm in the garage right now because I need to make sure I have all the materials that I need to make this cake and make sure that I don't need to buy anything, or maybe I do. I probably do need to buy stuff. But cake boards, I'm looking for a cake board specifically, and I'm pretty sure I have the right size. So I'm gonna rummage through my stuff and try to find it. Nope. I'm sure it's in this one. This one seems good because I don't think I have that much cake. Maybe it's best to just keep it small, you know? And another thing is that I need it to fit in my fridge so that it can harden and stay fresh overnight. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the smaller one. Oh, I also found this. I was looking for this. This is floral wire. And now I'm gonna go through all my cake stuff, ones that I get from the grocery store when I'm in a pinch. So I like to keep these around, but these aren't much. These are just for emergencies, really. I have plenty of red. I bought this like years ago. White, which I don't know if I'm really gonna be needing. Black, you always gotta have black. Tiny sampler bottles. Oh, I could probably use some yellow. As long as I have the primary colors, I can basically mix any color that I need. Green and blue. Some pearls. Don't know what I'm gonna use that for. My little fondant collection. There's not much in here, it's pretty light. The last time I used fondant was for one of my friend's birthday cakes, and I made her like a Western themed Animal Crossing cake, which turned out very beautiful. I'm really proud of that, but I used up a lot of my fondant. But that's why I also have these like pre-mixed colors here. So this is my green bag, red, orange, brown bag, and there's some black in here too. I'm gonna cover most of the cake with buttercream, and then the fondant will just be like little decorations to add dimension and more interesting details. Everything in here is kind of hard, but usually when you knead it and start working with it again, it does soften up. Oh, that's just an empty bag right there. And then I have, oh, some more blue. I should probably put this with my other blues. So I don't have any white, which might be a problem because that is kind of the base for mixing any kind of color fondant. It's like I'm gonna need yellow food coloring for sure, and also some more white fondant. Good, I'm glad we did this. I think I'm finally done with my drawings. This actually came together really quickly. I was working on this for such a long time, but I think I'm done with the planning phase. Just to give you a reference of my starting point, this is what we started with. I was so demotivated or unmotivated to finish this, but I think the problem was that I was trying to draw everything together. It really helped when I drew them separately in different layers and then kind of put them together. This is the most ambitious cake I've ever made. I've done a lot of stuff with fondant, and I've even made like a record player cake for one of my friend's birthdays that actually spins. Fondant decorations are fun. I love doing those. Cake for my friend's birthday last year. She wanted like all of these characters on it, and that took a long time, but that was so much fun. It's looking pretty good. I like how the ridges are turning out, because I really want it to look like it's just like a floating piece of land and kind of like out of a fairy tale. So this cake is about 1 inch thick, and I think in order to make the house 6 inches tall, I would need probably 4 pieces of cake, because there would be some room for the icing. But something I think I should do is carve this cake and frost it on a separate board and then transfer it. If I carve it, it's gonna get all messy and it's gonna get the crumbs everywhere. So yeah. I realized that a lot of the ridges that I cut into the cake can't really be seen because they're getting filled with buttercream. I might just make little moss crumbs with the cake scraps and put them on the side to give it a little more dimension. Okay, it's gonna go in the fridge. Build my house on this separate piece, stack it first, and then let it harden in the fridge before carving into it. I did consider putting some like strawberry jam in here to make it taste better. That just makes carving really difficult because you might carve into the jam filling. These edges are kind of slanted, so I'm trying to line them up in a way that they are less slanted. I just realized that I'm not supposed to crumb coat this until after I carved it. Dang. If this carving doesn't go right the first time, then I have enough cake to make a second house. I wanted to show you what I have so far. This is the carved cake. It's a little slanted, but I think the decorations and the outer layer of buttercream will smooth everything out. It wasn't as hard as I thought. You just have to take really slow cuts, and I also used a stencil I just cut this out of paper and with some tape on top so that it doesn't get all greasy. I'm mixing my colors right now for the base of the cake. It's gonna be green. I think I was a little too heavy-handed on the coloring, but it's very vibrant. Also gonna have a bunch of other greens all around the cake, so I think this is a good base color, and then I can add more different colors to it in order to get the shade of green that I want. Should pipe some like grass on the base of the cake so that it has some texture, and that'll give me a chance to add like highlights of different shades of green. Cover this all with green frosting so it looks like a grassy field. Just stop wearing shirts with these ridiculous sleeves that get in the way. This would also work for like a golfing cake. I think this looks pretty good actually. I also realized that I can fill in a lot of these gaps with some buttercream in a different shade. Makes me feel a little bit better. And I'm not gonna make any more crumbs. This is it. I actually kind of like how this looks. It's coming together. You know, this might have been a blessing in disguise, because now I get to add different shades of moss on here and it looks a little more realistic. But I also feel like I'm fixating on this and I really don't need this to be super perfect. And I can stop anytime and it'll be just fine. Also, I'm working in really bad lighting right now, so I feel like I should bring this into the sun and see how it actually looks. I did a little bit of planning with this cake and I know how I want it to look in general, but I haven't really figured out exactly how I'm gonna do all the details. And that was kind of intentional. I wanted to leave it up to spontaneity and being creative on the spot. I'm gonna come up with a lot of fondant decorations that I didn't plan for, or like extra details that I didn't realize I needed. Maybe I'll have more space on the cake than I thought. This isn't a cake for anyone, it's for me and for the Pastry Club, so there's no expectation of what this needs to be or what it's gonna look like. I wanted to embody all of the coziness and the whimsiness of baking. Have fun with it, and that's why I wanted this project to be entirely fun. I didn't want to have to do it for any reason, and I feel like that's when the most magic happens. I think this turned out pretty good. It is a little bit irregular, but I think with the fondant decorations and the little details will really make this come to life. And then coil them again, squish them together, and you kind of repeat this a few times. And the more you roll it, you kind of see the pattern coming through. And you don't want to overmix it because it's gonna basically just turn into a singular shade of brown. my windows made, and I have my sign and my door. I'm not going to pick that up because it still needs to harden. And I have these roof tiles that I made, but I don't think I have enough of them because they have to cover the entire roof area. I have about 20 right now. I probably have to make double. I don't have like a stamp or a template or anything. I'm kind of just freehanding them. They really don't have to be perfect, and I'm actually gonna have to end up cutting a lot of these in order to fit in like the little spaces. Kind of like tiling, you have to cut pieces to fit in the specific area that you want them to. With these kind of projects, you really have to know when to be a perfectionist and when to just let go of the imperfections. For example, these windows, I definitely needed these to be somewhat perfect because they needed to fit on the house correctly and proportionally. But then with these roof tiles, I'm just freehanding them, and they definitely don't all look the same. But that's totally fine because they're all going to be overlapping on top of each other, and I'm probably going to end up painting them too, just to give them a little more dimension and give them some shadow and highlights. But now that I've made these, I can use these as a template, so hopefully this next batch goes a lot faster. Actually, that was quite slow. I'm just tracing them individually with my X-Acto knife, and I don't think that's the method to go with because that's incredibly slow. Actually, that looks pretty good. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to choose speed or perfection. I think after making all of these details, I'm a little more excited to see how everything comes together, because right now the details look great. But I know that once they go onto the cake, it's really gonna make it come alive. I've always been really fascinated with dioramas or doll houses or things that are like miniature versions of real things. So this is like a really fun project for me. I kind of want to continue building this Pastry Club world, this little like whimsical, mystical, magical world that this house exists in. And I'm thinking that the next thing I want to do could be like a gingerbread house. Wouldn't that be so cute for the holidays? I mean, that's going to be a little harder because it's going to require actual architecture and structural integrity to get that together. And honestly, I've never made a gingerbread house from scratch before, but I think that will be a super awesome project if I can make a gingerbread Pastry Club house. Oh my gosh. I have to figure out how to make it happen. of unsure about this roof. I don't really like how the tile looks. It looks like dragon scales to me, and I'm not really a big fan of that. I also dug the pool, which was kind of fun. I did do a little crumb coat on there with some white buttercream, but I think I'm gonna do a coat of blue buttercream just to make it look extra blue when the jello's in there and make it look more pond-like. I think I'm gonna do a buttercream path and some fondant rocks. I still have to test out my dry ice chimney. Kind of nervous about that. I haven't done that yet. I haven't even figured out that whole contraption yet. I got an idea on how I want to do the roof, and I just took off all of these tiles, and I want to reuse this green, so I'm scraping off the buttercream on the back of it, and then I'm just gonna mush it all together and form it into these new tiles. But I was thinking, instead of doing individual tiles, I would do like strips with a scalloped edge, so that it will be a little faster and a little easier to put together. I'm mixing up some colors for the grass that I want to pipe all over the floor of the cake. I want it to be like a mix of green colors, kind of like my shirt, and some like pops of color for the flowers. So I want it to be like a super dreamy grass field meadow. I'm gonna use a grass piping tip and also mix a bunch of colors, like different shades of green, maybe some pink, yellow, and white, and kind of pipe it all over. So right now I'm just prepping the buttercream. I had it sitting in the fridge, so it's really hard, and I'm just blasting it in the microwave a few seconds at a time until it becomes more of a pipeable consistency. I think this one needs more time actually. This is the other green that I made. That is way too soft. It's a liquid. I think we got all our bases covered. I have 3 types of greens, and then I have a light purple, yellow, and like a pinkish coral color. It's giving Easter. These are the tips I'm using. This is the grass tip. And then I'm also using this #1 circle tip, round tip. And I just want to use this to do like little dots for the flowers, and I think that's gonna look really, really cute and really dreamy. Done with the piping. We still have some more details to add.